That's the third time a vehicle has run into my yard. So I don't have my grandsons playing out here in the front yard or on the porch.
A horrific crash following a police chase over the weekend in Cleveland County. 3 people were killed, several others hurt. It happened early Sunday morning along Suttle Street near Uptown Shelby, and we've mapped it out for you here, not far from DeKalb Street. Deputies tell us they responded after a 911 call in Blacksburg, South Carolina, of a pickup truck shooting at another car. Well, once the suspects crossed state lines, the sheriff's office says their deputies began chasing the pickup truck here in Cleveland County. Well, WBTV's Ron Lee has been out on the scene in Shelby all morning long. He's been talking with witnesses and has more. And Ron, I know you've been talking with not only people who saw this happen, but also emergency workers who treated some of the people who were involved. So what have you learned? Do we know who was in that truck?
John, that is still to be determined at this point. That information has not been released by the Shelby police officers. But I can tell you out here on the scene, when you look at it, the damage is real and it is absolutely raw. Take a look at what we're seeing back here. This house absolutely caved in. The front of the home is collapsed. Debris is everywhere. Neighbors have been coming around all morning long to see the aftermath. Take a look at this. Over to our right-hand side of our camera, officials say the truck was coming up this way when it lost control and smashed into a home. The person inside narrowly missed being hit by that vehicle. Now, officials tell us that the truck with 6 people inside lost control, veered left before hitting the curb, and according to witnesses that I talked to, flipped and launched into the roofline of this house. Incredible stuff. People who say they were there tell me deputies quickly arrived with guns drawn. Rescue crews pulled 6 people out of the wreckage, all between the ages of 20 and just 15 years old. 3 of them, unfortunately, did not survive. We're still waiting on the conditions of the other victims at this point. The person who owns the home, who's been there since 1971, was there at the time of the collision and tells us he is lucky to be alive. The people who called this shooting in weren't hurt either. I talked this morning to a nurse who was in the emergency room when the young man started pouring into the hospital. He said it was pretty overwhelming.
And all of a sudden we started hearing code trauma. And typically what that means is something is coming in. And one code trauma followed another code trauma. After that, another code trauma followed another. And at that point, all of the nurses on the floor, we started looking around, started wondering what's going on.
Now, coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, we talked to the man who set up this small memorial right in front of the home. He tells me he set it up for a way for him to process exactly what happened. Live in Shelby, I'm Ron Lee. WBTV, on your side.